Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Ben Simmons press conference. The James Harden. We just got done doing the Ben Simmons. The James Harden introductory press conference with the Philadelphia 76ers. We're waiting for it to begin momentarily, and we're going to be showing it live here on the channel. We just got done with the Ben Simmons one. Real quick, Ben Simmons just, playing the victim card, I think, for the majority of that presser. In the comments, guys, let me know what your thoughts on Ben Simmons there. He did not speak to Joel Embiid during the whole trade process and what went down this past summer. He even named Tobias Harris someone he was talking to, but not Joel Embiid, which is really intriguing. What else do we see? He's not ready to come back to the court yet, but he did say that he is looking to play against the Sixers in that next couple of weeks. So I can't even imagine how epic that matchup, that showdown will be. It was frustrating. It was a very frustrating press conference from Ben Simmons. Pretty much gave you everything I expected. A lot of nothing. Ben Simmons gave a lot of nothing here. So just as a Ben Simmons guy, I believed in him so many times. We had his back here in Philadelphia. It did not happen. And I look at, no one asked any questions about jump shooting. Are the Nets prepared to hold this guy accountable? I don't know. I just don't know. Ben Simmons addressed what he's going to bring to the Brooklyn Nets. He said playmaking, setting guys up, and locking down defensively. Now, those are all things that the Brooklyn Nets absolutely 100% need. However, in terms of, for Ben Simmons taking that next step in his development and becoming a star, I don't know if it's gonna happen in Brooklyn. So that's kind of where we're at. There was no real shade to Joel Embiid. The one question was, have you talked to Joel Embiid? And Ben Simmons flat out said no. So there has been zero communication between Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. For the love of the basketball gods, just give us that 7-game series with the Brooklyn Nets in the playoffs, man. That I can't even imagine how epic that would be. We've got Pedro in the house going, hello. What's going on, Pedro? Waiting for this James Harden press conference here. It's going to be awesome, man. One of the biggest additions to the Sixers forever. When's the last time the Sixers had a true point guard like James Harden? It's been a while. It's been a long time. I made a James Harden highlight reel for the channel, and there was probably about 10 passes in that highlight reel from this year that I haven't seen a point guard on the Philadelphia 76ers make. Free Frosties on March 11th. Quentin, could you imagine how many Frosties we get during a 7-game playoff series, man? We'll be eating good, man. Timothy says, bring on the fat man. Abraham says, thank you for doing this. Yeah, we're waiting for it to start. It said 11:50 initially. It got pushed back to 11:55. It's now 11:56. So we'll see. As soon as it goes live, we'll be showing it here on the channel, and I'll be taking notes, and we're going to recap and break down everything we have learned. Alex says, he'll put Wendy's out of business. Matisse is going to just shadow Ben Simmons on the court the entire time. And then if not, it'll be Charlie Brown Jr. just fouling, hacking Ben every single time, man. It's going to be just a blast to watch, man. I just cannot wait. I just cannot wait for that game. The ratings of that game, James Harden and Joel Embiid versus Ben Simmons and Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn Nets, is going to be something we have never seen before. I've been waiting for a good rivalry here with the Sixers. That would be it. That'll be it, at least for the next year or two. So still waiting for the stream to begin. Let me know what you thought about Ben Simmons' press conference in the comments section. Again, played the victim card. Gave zero answers to pretty much all the questions. He's not ready to come back. But he does want to play against the Philadelphia 76ers in a couple weeks. That was basically it. And he didn't talk to Joel Embiid. So we didn't learn anything, just as we expected. The Brooklyn Nets are probably going to just let Ben be Ben. for better or worse. And I'm just glad that is not our problem anymore. That is not the Sixers' problem to micromanage that kind of player. So really happy the fact that we're moving on. And from everything I've heard about the Brooklyn Nets and accountability and Kevin Durant and what's going on with Kyrie Irving right now, I totally get it on, James Harden's side that he wanted to get the hell out of there. So it's going to be exciting. Exciting times. These next few months of basketball are going to be a blast. Pedro says, hey, Dibes, do you really think there isn't mental issues there? I'm not going to comment on that. I don't have enough information. That's been my take for a long time is, we've been doing this for a while. And my take this entire season has been to not really deep dive into that. Do I have vibes and feelings about these kind of things? I do, but I'm not about to comment on someone's mental health when I don't even know that person and I don't have all the information. I don't do that. And that's been our kind of stance from day one, from the regular season on. So that's where we're at. I think it's totally the case, but not because of the Hawks series. I think he has mental issues that dates back way before it, which doesn't diminish how responsible he was for lots of situations last month. What do you think of the Harden practice footage? So when we did a show last week, I talked to who was the biggest winner of the James Harden trade? Obviously, it's Joel Embiid, but you watch that practice video, Tyrese freaking Maxey learning, the step back, learning that mid-range game, becoming more crafty around the rim, crafty in that mid-range game. Tyrese Maxey for me was the biggest takeaway. You saw those two practicing next to each other, man. That's exciting stuff. Knowing how unbelievable Tyrese Maxey is at finishing around the rim, knowing how fast he is at getting to the rim. The idea of James Harden, giving Tyrese Maxey more tools to his toolkit and being, change of pace and getting guys to bite and all those kind of nuance things that, Tyrese Maxey doesn't have yet, of being a pure point guard. And that's where Maxey needs to grow. He's shown a lot of progress, especially last month in terms of playmaking for others. We've seen huge progress there. But let's be real. Tyrese Maxey was kind of thrown into a situation to be a starting point guard in a team that had, true, real playoff implications. And that might have not been fair for a kid who's 21 years old and is best, attacking downhill, attacking the rim, penetrating. So his development this year has been unbelievable. I mean, especially shooting the basketball. I mean, you talk about, the corner three, catch and shoot. It's been just astronomical how he has blown away our expectations again and again and again and again for Tyrese Maxey, man. So for me, the takeaway of the long story short was Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey is going to get at least 2 years of learning the pick and roll from the best of the best, possibly of all time. And that is just really exciting stuff. Abraham says, Nets fan here. Nets and Phillies fans have every right to feel what they feel about the Ben and Harden situation. In simple terms, they quit on their teams. Looking forward to a real organic rivalry. It's going to be so fun, Abraham. Thanks for the comment, dude. It's going to be fun, man. Like some of my favorite basketball is from the 90s when you had the Bulls and the Knicks and they hated each other. These two teams hated each other, man. And I want to go back to that. Like today's sports is way too soft. That it is personal between Embiid and Harden versus Durant and Ben Simmons. That is going to be so much fun to watch. We just need a 7-game series. I don't believe Ben is going to actually suit up in that March game in Philadelphia. I don't believe it for a second. I will lose a lot of money on that if that actually happens because that I just don't see it. Marcus Harden was spotted eating 4 cheesesteaks late night at a strip club. Hopefully there were Jim's. Hopefully there were Jim's cheesesteaks. That's my favorite in the city for sure. Still waiting on this press conference to start. Still says 11:55 start time on my end for the presser. So we will see. Guys, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on the James Harden trade and how it will impact this Sixers season. Pedro says, agreed. I think both moves were huge for both. Yeah, I think we said that during our show last week, during our reaction. Like both guys fit exactly what each team needs. The Sixers are getting a playmaker, a shot creator, a closer, a guy that can give Joel Embiid more space down low, but he also has that, gravity on offense that can just truly, kind of take the ball away from Joel Embiid a little bit and let Joel Embiid focus, especially defensively, because you've seen kind of stretches where Joel Embiid struggles defensively because the load on offense is so much. It is so much. So I think Ben Simmons is exactly what the Brooklyn Nets need, and he's going to fit beautifully there. And same for the James Harden and the Sixers. I think it was a win-win for both teams. Britt Curry played well last night, man. He did. The shots were falling last night. Seth struggled the last few weeks with the Sixers, which sucks because I hope that's not my lasting memory of Seth Curry, man. He was terrific. I go back to that Atlanta Hawks series when it was basically him and Joel Embiid and no offense from the Sixers other than those two. Seth Curry for stretches carried this team many times last year during the regular season, and especially at the start of this regular season. There were many times during our post-game shows and things like that when we were like, where would this team be without Seth Curry? His shooting was that good. Like his true shooting percentage, remember back in October and November, it was in the 70% range. It was insane. When that's one of those guys, man. Hopefully we get that from James Harden as well. When Seth Curry is hot, man, the dude is ridiculously good. Ridiculously good. Efficient. So I wish Seth Curry nothing but the best. I think Andre Drummond had a pretty good game there as well. But anyway, we'll see. I mean, that was kind of the take for the Nets last year. Who's going to be available come playoff time? It's the same kind of thing with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant and Ben Simmons not showing up during the playoffs. They're going to have that same issue come playoff time. So that's a real thing. When you're paying a guy max money and you can't have him on the court in the fourth quarter during crunch time, that's a big freaking problem. So anyway, Abraham says y'all should be yeah, that's what we're hoping. This roster is not complete by any means. I do think the championship door has opened somewhat, but they have a long way to go. The Sixers will use this offseason to really kind of retool, get some more spot-up shooters, get some more perimeter defenders, probably get another center backup big stretch four, something along those lines. So you're not going to complete this roster this season. It is what it is. The situation has completely kind of it's been tough. But I think this offseason we could see definitely Daryl Morey really put his imprint on this team because we're kind of waiting to fill some of these holes. Like I'm just done with the Korkmaz point guard Korkmaz thing. I'm done with running the ball through Seth Curry. That was kind of another take. And as good as Seth Curry was, Doc went to Seth way too much, running the offense through him way too much. Same thing we see with Korkmaz. I think there's going to be a trickle-down effect with James Harden where it's going to put guys in better positions to succeed here. So we'll see. We'll see. Abraham says, Morey knows how to maximize Harden for sure. That's the hope, man. And you look at kind of Daryl Morey's history with, finding shooters in the second round, finding shooters in the G League. It's solid, man. That's what we're going to be looking at is getting more spot-up shooters. It ain't happening with Korkmaz right now. So you just traded your best shooter in Seth Curry. You got to hope that Tyrese Maxey's shooting stays consistent there. But it's all good. That what the Sixers lacked most was a ball handler. I can't tell you how many times I just banged my head on the wall because there was no ball handlers. Tyrese Maxey is a great player, and he's going to be probably even better than that down the road, but he's not a pure point guard right now. So we're getting that, and I just can't wait to see those two develop together, develop chemistry together. It's going to be special, man. It's going to be something special. Still waiting to get this show on the road here. As soon as it goes live, we'll play it. Do you guys think the Sixers are ready for a championship? Do you think the Sixers are built right now for a championship? Let me know in the comments. Also, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Real quick plug. For NFL draft and Eagles content, I just released my safeties rankings. So right now on the channel, if you love the NFL draft, and I mean the NFL draft in general, you don't have to be an Eagles fan, but I've got top 10 rankings on edge rushers, cornerbacks, quarterbacks, safeties, linebackers, and wide receivers. Right now, I'm working on, you guys voted on who's my next top 10. It's going to be interior defensive linemen. It's a pretty good group. So that will be coming out this week. So it's going to be awesome. NFL draft is the best, man. So Pedro says, great for closing the game as well. Exactly, man. Like the Sixers haven't had a closer since Jimmy Butler. It's going to be so refreshing. It's going to be so refreshing. And I love Tobias Harris. He's not worth that contract. And he's not that, give the ball and get a bucket kind of guy like James Harden is. The fit is immense. The fit is perfect. It's really on Joel Embiid to learn how to cut to the basket more. I remember the other day I woke up and I remember a video I made back in 2018 of when JJ and Joel Embiid were doing their like DHOs and pick and roll game. And Joel Embiid has come so far when it comes to rolling to the basket since then. But still, Joel Embiid is more of a pick and pop, face the basket kind of guy from mid-range. We're going to see it. I think we have seen a lot of progress from Joel Embiid in terms of rolling to the basket this year. And that's what I want. Like you watch like the Suns, you watch, with Chris Paul, like you watch other teams get their bigs, easy buckets down low. That's what I'm hoping. This could extend the shelf life of Joel Embiid a little bit, and that's worth something. So we'll see if James Harden and Joel Embiid can get that pick and roll game going. And, Joel Embiid's never played with a point guard like James Harden. Joel Embiid has never played with a guy that can get him the ball going to the basket like James Harden. So, Joel Embiid, we all know that this dude's a savant, man. He learns things every single day, it seems like, when it comes to just basketball IQ. It's amazing how fast he picks things up. So we'll see. It's not been one of Joel Embiid's strengths, in terms of rolling to the basket, but that is huge. That is so huge. That is probably the storyline, that Joel Embiid pick and roll with James Harden. Can those two develop chemistry quick enough to get a championship? And if there's absolutely a Sixers verse out there where that becomes completely unstoppable for defenses in the Eastern Conference and they get to the finals. I think there's definitely a realistic chance that happens. Chris Coyle says, Harden teaching Embiid the step back three today makes him so happy. And you saw Joel Embiid also taking 4 steps. I love it. I'm okay with Joel Embiid shooting threes. That you got to have that spacing, but I really hope we'll see Harden get Embiid moving towards the basket rather than away the basket. Abraham says Bucks can continually will be tough to beat. Absolutely. Giannis is just a different player. Absolutely. And Dragic, is Dragic going to the Bucks? I know they just agreed on the buyout. I have not seen where he's going yet. But that's a player I would love with the Sixers, man. Have another backup guard. It's not a priority for the Sixers, but I doubt he's going to take, no money to come here. We'll see. Quentin says, I'd like to see Harden and the Paul Bassey pick and roll. Yeah, so I think that's going to be your backup big and Charles Bassey. That's something we've seen from Bassey in college. He's really strong there. And I think that's a player that I think can thrive with James Harden. I don't know so much about Paul Reed. Are you thinking of Paul Millsap or Paul Reed? Let me know, Quentin, because Paul Reed is kind of a wild card. I don't think anybody knows exactly what position he is. He could be is he a stretch 4 that can defend on the perimeter but is hesitant from 3, or is he a small ball 5 that can't shoot and just protects the rim? I don't know exactly what he is. And I think Charles Bassey has a much more well-defined role in the NBA, which is protecting the rim, rolling to the basket. I like Paul Reed. I'm not saying get rid of Paul Reed. Let him continue to develop, because when he does shoot threes, it's actually pretty good. Although his time with the Sixers, whether it was Summer League or this year, that jump shot has not looked good. So, Q says more step backs from mid-range, please. Love it. Pedro says another nuance like that. Our defense improves with Harden without Steph. Is taking the game seriously. He can be a good defender, and he also helps with rebounding. Man, how bad have the Sixers been rebounding the basketball this year? Let's be honest. The Tyrese Maxey, Seth Curry backcourt was not going to win the Sixers a championship. That backcourt would have been exposed like we saw last year in the playoffs. So now you got Harden. And I'm not saying Harden is an amazing defender, but that should absolutely help with the rebounding. How many rebounds is James Harden averaging this year? Hold on, let me look it up quick. James Harden is averaging 8 rebounds this season. 8 rebounds a game this season. The Sixers are like by far and away among the worst in rebounding the basketball. So there's a lot of ways that Harden impacts the game beyond just shooting, beyond just scoring. So there's, Quentin says Paul Reed. I like Paul Reed, but I'm definitely, I don't know. I'm like 50-50 on Paul Reed. We'll see. Mudman. But anyway, we're still. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Training employers are looking for.
Guys, we are getting ready for the press conference.
Great day for Philly. Excited to be here. Excited to.
Here we go, guys.
Welcome James and Paul. This is going to be awesome. James, thank you for choosing Philly to play. Players like James don't come along every day. So, like, the fact that he's here is a testament to everything that's been built. Starting with Joel's MVP caliber play and what he's been doing and growing into. And then obviously the leadership around me with Doc and Daryl and Elton. And so thank you, everyone. And look, the only last thing I'd say is that very much appreciate Ben, what he did, Seth, Andre, the contributions to Philly. And we wish them well. But now let's do this thing. Thank you.
We're very excited. Josh and ownership have been behind Doc and the front office 100 to do whatever it takes to put us in the position to as Doc says, be the winner, win the last game of the season. We've all worked tirelessly. I'd like to also thank Ben and Seth and Andre. For their contributions. Doc and the coaching staff and the players have put us in a spot where as we make this trade, we are well positioned to go on a run and a run that hopefully excites, the city of Philadelphia. With Paul, he's someone Paul knows that we were talking to this offseason and hoping to acquire. So it took us a little time, but we're really excited about what he can bring. He's a very versatile player. And then, as Doc said a couple days ago, when he was looking at the team, we've been looking for a player with a particular set of skills that he's developed over his career and James Harden. So having an MVP and then a guy who's on pace to probably be the MVP if he can keep it up, is really exciting. All the hard work happens from here. We haven't accomplished anything yet. And I love that, that Doc's as a champion, is here to lead us. So turn it over to questions. Oh, Doc, sorry, my bad.
Well, ditto, really. I don't have a lot to say. I mean, I think you guys would rather ask questions except for I'll start out with thanking Ben and Seth and Drum. I mean, they all were great. Each one of them enjoyed coaching all of them. One of the reasons I wanted to come here, as Josh knows in our interview, is that we would make a commitment to win and being a winner. And we talked about it. We can do a lot of winning or we can try to be the winner. And being the winner is hard. And that's what we want to become. And that's why we make trades like this, going out and getting Paul and James. We want the opportunity to be the winner, and we believe that this trade does that.
We'll start with Keith for questioning, then John and James.
How y'all doing? Welcome to Philly. James, this question is for you. I guess it's a two-part question.
why did you want out of Brooklyn, and why did you want Philadelphia to be your destination?
Originally, when I was going through everything I was going through, in Houston, Philly was my first choice. It just didn't happen. So, but just detailed, I don't really want to get into, the Brooklyn situation. I just knew, for a very long time, this is a perfect fit. And obviously you got a big man, the best big man in the league in Joel. And then obviously the coaching, just from top to bottom, it made sense. And I'm just happy and blessed that I'm here. And as Doc and everybody knows and everybody wants is to win and be the last team standing. So I'm excited for the opportunity.
James, are you able to clear up what happened with the opt-in? I guess there was a report that you were going to opt in for the next year here with the Sixers after the trade. You still have the opportunity to
I
do
still
that.
have the opportunity to do it.
And will you?
And yes. Yeah, but it just everything happened so fast. I just wanted to get here and take my time and most importantly focus on the end game, and that's winning the championship.
And what can Joel Embiid do for your game, and what can you do for Joel's game?
I think we complement each other. Obviously the whole world knows how great Joel's been playing. Not just scoring the basketball, but rebounding. He got a triple-double last game. Just like his presence alone is unbelievable. And I feel like I'm the same way as far as, making my teammates better and doing different things that impact the game at the highest level. And then we have a great core of guys that can help with that. So, I wish I was playing tonight, but, just take my time and, after the break, we'll get things going. Jamie, Howard,
Jamie Apodi from 6ABC back here. You haven't stepped on the court yet, but before you even were in Philadelphia, your jersey sold out at the arena in less than an hour. There was a billboard touting "Welcome the Beard." How has that reception made you feel, and how do you feel about playing in front of these fans?
These fans is probably the best fans in the NBA. A lot of teams say that, a lot of organizations say that, a lot of fan bases say that, but like ride or die, like probably the best fans in the NBA. And I'm just happy that they're on my side and I'm not getting booed as the opposing team. But I'm excited, man. Just the love, the atmosphere, just, going to that arena, it's going to be something special.
Daryl, a question for you first. You say this team's set up for the future. And the way I understand it, with this trade and other trades, you cannot use a first-round draft pick till 2029. Is that correct? Because you can't trade two number ones in a row with the way you have them spread out. How much of an issue could that be in trying to make a trade? And then I'll have a question for James as well.
Yeah, our focus is obviously to win now. In terms of our tradable first, that's technically true, although, there are things you can do behind the scenes. Actually, Miami just did to modify certain things to make a first tradable if we wanted to go that route. But look, our focus was to keep as many of the great players as we could. We're in the window of Joel and James and Tobias right now. And, making sure Tyrese Maxey is here, making sure that Matisse Thybulle is here. Those were the big priorities. We wanted to give up nothing, but you have to give up something to make a trade and get a Hall of Famer and a player that can put us into a different tier of competing. So we're very comfortable. And then we have, thanks again to Doc and the coaching staff, we have a bunch of young players. I think you're seeing them out there contributing the last few games because we had to include Drummond in this deal. Paul Reed's come in and done a nice job. Isaiah Joe's come in. Shake Milton's a young player. So we have a lot of things that are both putting us in a position to win now, but also, players who are still on their improvement curve. Obviously, Maxey being the one and the most extreme. So we're very comfortable where we're at now and going forward.
James, just to follow up on Keith's question about coming here, it's 3 teams now in 14 months. Can you explain the thoughts behind that and why it's so many in such a short period of time?
It wasn't playing like this. 14 months ago, I didn't see myself in 3 different teams, but we are what we are here today, and I'm happy. year has been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of stress. But whatever, that's in the past. I'm excited. I'm healthy, and it's an opportunity of a lifetime.
To echo something James said, when I spoke to Sean Marks over the past, week primarily, and a little bit before that, like I felt like it should have been a 3-team deal originally. That the fit was there for that, and would have been ideal, I think, for all 3 teams if it was originally structured that way.
Right here, Mike Sealski from the Philadelphia Inquirer for James. To kind of piggyback on Howard's question a little bit, what do you feel like, whether on the court or off, are the conditions that you need for you to be at your best?
I think I'm going through that right now. Like as far as me, I got to make sure I'm great. I'm healthy. I'm in a place where I can be the best James Harden. I can be on the court, and everything else from what I've been here the last couple of days is already in place. From obviously, Josh and Daryl do the thing, but Doc, he makes sure everybody's knows their role, their structure, and for me, I just got to go out there and do what I do. So my job is pretty easy.
Hey, James. Kyle Newbeck from Philly Voice. Joel is pretty different from a lot of the bigs that you played with in the past. You played with a lot of rim runners, guys who are running pick and rolls with you. Have you talked to him much about how your games are going to mesh, and how do you see that partnership coming together on the floor? We're both at a high level to where we'll figure it out. Joel does everything on the floor. So and we got guys on our team that are very smart. We communicate, and we have coaching that's gonna put us in positions to be successful. Listen here, they have something great already going on. I'm just here to contribute, and I know that I can do that very well. So on the court, when you got high level skill guys that knows the game and all they want to do is win, we'll figure it out.
Gina Mizell with the Philadelphia Inquirer. Daryl, you sort of touched on this in your opening remarks, but just how did you sort of balance the possibility of making this deal now versus maybe waiting until the off season? And then just what does this now do as far as your overall roster building? I know you're always trying to tweak and improve, but just a deal like this, where does this put you guys as far as your overall roster building vision?
Well, and Brandon and I have been working on this since Rich Paul came to us and said, that Ben was looking for a new situation. If we could have gotten a deal done then, we would have done it then. I think it was pretty straightforward for us, for Elton and I from the beginning. Our mission that's been given to us, and the whole reason that, everyone on the team is really here. Elton's here to win a title. Doc's here to win a title. It's all unfinished business for all of us, and we've all come together. And we knew from the moment Ben asked out that if we were going to do a trade, it had to be for one that we thought could allow us to compete at a high level. And the way this league works, you have to get players of the caliber of a James Harden, and to pair with a Joel Embiid and a Tobias. You can win without it, but you look historically in the league, you're looking at pretty long odds if you don't have 2 great players of that level of play out there.
Hey, Paul. Lauren Rosen with Sixers.com. You've played for some really good teams, and you've played for some really good coaches. But what excites you about this team and this coach?
Yeah, first off, appreciate it. It was getting a little weird up here, but the culture, just coming into practice, yesterday, and seeing the joy on the guy's face, and seeing how together everybody is, and seeing the energy in the building. That's what I love. That's what I love to be around. That's what I love to come to every day. And being on those good teams in the past that I've been on, all had that same energy. And coming here, man, with the talent and the players and the coaching staff, and organization mixed with that energy and talent, it's unbelievable.
Paul Hudrick, Liberty Ballers. For James, Tyrese Maxey has really developed a really big role here. I guess, what have you seen from him going up against him, and how do you see your games meshing together?
Well, he's had an opportunity this year
because of the circumstances, but his confidence is just going off the roof. Like his attack, he's always on attack, and then obviously his 3-point shooting is extremely improved. But that right there is overall, entire game is just improved, and I think his aggressive mentality to get to the basket, to knock down the shot when he's open, it explains it all. Obviously then he's surrounded by really good players, and then the MVP of this year to make his job a lot easier. But and that's where I'm coming in, to talk to him, to help him as many ways as I can. But he's been doing an unbelievable job, and he's only going to continue to get better.
This is for Josh. When you bought the team 11, 12 years ago, the big first move was Andrew Bynum, and that didn't work. Then you had Sam come in and deconstruct and reconstruct with a bunch of draft picks. That kind of didn't work. Then you had Jimmy and Tobias. That hadn't worked. And then you had bully ball of Al Horford. What makes this different?
We had two great players to build around. We've got a great coach in Doc Rivers, great, unbelievable front office with Elton and Daryl. We have the commitment of ownership to do what it takes, and then we've got a lot of young players with Matisse and Tyrese, Tobias. So I think we have the ingredients to win here, and our goal is to win a championship. We're gonna keep trying until we get there. It's there's no straight lines to the top. You got to just keep pushing.
If I could follow with Daryl, where do you think the ceilings are for Tyrese and Matisse, who you protected really for at least since you got here, really?
Yeah, they were critical. Tyrese absolutely has a chance to be an all-star in this league. Obviously, there's a lot of work, but I know he'll put it in. That's one thing that's amazing about Tyrese is his, like James said, his his confidence, but also his commitment to put the work in has been incredible. And then, Tybal, I think, easily could be Defensive Player of the Year after Joel wins it first. He told us, but Tybal, as you saw last game, six steals, and I think the coaches have really worked with him on both using some of his unique skills and also being solid and providing that solid defense you need to win. To have a championship caliber lineup on the floor. So both of them, I think, sky's the limit, and that's a big reason why we made sure that they weren't in this trade.
Hey guys, Chris Franklin, NJ.com. This question's for Daryl and for Doc. You guys gave up some size in that trade when it came to Andre Drummond, who also was playing well as well too. How do you guys look to replace the size aspect of that when it comes to him? And if not, who do you guys foresee in taking over that role?
Well, we're looking. I mean, we like some of the guys we have. Obviously, Paul is going to help us in that. Both Pauls, Paul Reed as well. We have Charles Bassey. But, the buyout market is out there as well. And we're looking.
Tim Bontes from ESPN for James here in the middle. Sorry, I'm in the back. You mentioned before, James, that when you were originally looking to leave Houston last year, that this was the first place that was initially where you thought you'd be. Why did that not happen? And I have a follow-up.
I don't know.
Well, the way
Say it's Daryl's fault. Say it's Daryl's fault.
The way it was presented was that you sort of had the option to choose where you wanted to go.
I wish it worked like that, but organizations got to do what's best for their team, present and future. So it didn't work like that, and I had to go to Brooklyn, which obviously we all know that could have been something special, but whatever reason was for that. So here I am today.
And to that second point, is the uncertainty around Kyrie's situation this year, did that play a part in how things developed over the past couple of months for you?
Very minimal, honestly. Like, obviously, me and Kai are really good friends. Whatever he was going through or is still going through, that's his personal preference. But it definitely did impact the team because originally, obviously, me, Kyrie, and KD on the court, and winning covers up a lot of that stuff. But it was unfortunate that we played 16 games out of whatever it was, and it is what it is. But this is, here in Philly is an opportunity that I'm looking forward to.
Hey, James. Noah Levick, NBC Sports Philadelphia. Doc told us a few days ago you've reached out to him previously about wanting, him to be your coach. Why did you do that, and what are your expectations of playing for him?
One of the best coaches to ever coach the game of basketball. Like, why wouldn't I want to be led by that? I've been doing it for a very long time, but he was doing it way longer than me, and he's experienced way more than me. And as the player that I am, I still need to learn. I still need to be helped and taught and be put in a position to be successful. So, why not?
Kai Carlin over at Sixers Wire. James, we talked about Joel and Tyrese, but I'm just curious how you think you're going to be able to fit next to Tobias as well, just a guy, out on the perimeter.
Tobias is a guy that can go get you 20 a night, and I feel like it's my job to get that out of him. He's very versatile as well, so just my job is to help be the leader, man, push guys and get that swagger out of guys every single night, because ultimately that's going to help us get to the end goal, and that's to win a championship. So we all know how great of a talent Tobias is, but it's my job to help him with that and from top to bottom.
Right here, Jay. How is your physical conditioning right now, as far as like being able to play in a game? How does your hamstring feel? And are you kind of on board with? We've been told you won't, play until after the All-Star break. Was that, I guess, a collaborative decision?
Yeah. So hamstring feels really good. Just doing a lot of strengthening work right now. Definitely was a collaborative decision on, after the break, making sure we're a full go. Like, uphill is the only way we can go. And then my conditioning is great. I've been doing a lot of running, a lot of sprints, a lot of treadmill work, strength and conditioning. But it's nothing like basketball conditioning, playing 5-on-5 and pick and rolls and getting hit, things like that. So that's something that I got to incorporate. But overall, my body feels great.
James, talked a lot about, we've heard the word championship being thrown around here for the last half hour. Pairing you and Joel, do you see that being possible? I'm sure you see that being possible this year.
Hell
what will
yeah.
it take to make it happen? Was that a hell yeah?
Hell yeah. There's a lot that goes into it. Obviously, it just doesn't happen overnight. But I think just here being around guys and, they have the right mindset. Obviously, it's coming from the coaching staff. But after the break, man, it's go time. So as much as, I can incorporate and figure things out fast, which, I probably, it won't, be long, the better things will be. But I mean, it shouldn't take long at all. Like I pretty much can fit anywhere.
This question's for Paul. Paul, I was wondering if you could tell us what it was like when this way you found out about the trade and how that went about and everything.
Yeah, I found out the trade. I was actually in Atlanta playing 5-on-5 in the middle of a competitive game.
Not golfing?
I wasn't. It was cold. It was too cold. It was too cold out there. Yeah. But in the middle of the game, and my brother looked over and said, "Hey, you going to Philly?" I was like, "What?" It's a competitive game going. I'm trying to win the game. So when the game got over with, that's when it really hit me, and got really excited about it. And that's how that.
Mike Sealski from the Inquirer, again for James. At the start of the press conference, Josh thanked you for wanting to play in Philadelphia. Based on everything that's publicly available, you didn't want to play in Houston anymore. You were able to leave. You didn't want to play in Brooklyn anymore. You were able to leave. What does that say about you, and what does it say about the power that NBA players wield in this era of basketball?
For me, I think just the relationship that I had in Houston, it was basically mutual, but everything was on me. And same in the last situation. But for the most part, we can control our own destiny. Not that I'm saying that's a good thing or bad thing, but I know in my situation, for whatever reason, it was mutual, and relationship not very, new with Josh, but obviously knowing Daryl, knowing Tad, from my Houston days, knowing Doc, For me, it made sense, man. It's a time where I needed to be, around guys that I know that want to win and know that are willing to do whatever it takes to win. And the structure here is unbelievable. That's the goal, man. That's the goal. Like Daryl said, the opportunity to window is now. Joel is playing the best he's ever played. So my job is to come out there and help him and help the entire team win the championship this year and years going forward. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, that was the James Harden introductory press conference. Quick recap before we shut it down. Let's start from the top. Daryl Morey says we haven't accomplished anything yet and is excited about how Doc Rivers is going to lead them. I think, you saw James Harden and Daryl Morey doubling down on Doc Rivers here during this presser. A lot of pressure on Doc Rivers to get it done with this group and James Harden and Joel Embiid. We saw Doc Rivers thank Ben, Seth, and Andre. We saw Doc say he thinks this Harden trade puts the Sixers in a position to win a championship. James Harden on why he wanted out of Brooklyn. Harden said Philly was his first choice and it never happened years ago. He knew that Philly was always the perfect fit, especially with Joel Embiid and the coaching staff. Harden says he's happy and blessed that he's in Philadelphia. The biggest news of this entire presser is that he will opt in with his current contract for next year. That has huge implications with this roster moving forward. Daryl Morey on the Sixers' future says he can't trade a future first rounder, but there is ways around it to add to this roster this offseason. Daryl Morey said the focus was to win now with Joel Embiid, Harden, and Tobias while keeping Maxey and Thibault on the roster. We heard a lot about Tobias Harris throughout this presser, which is really interesting, especially from Doc and Daryl, really making sure that Tobias Harris is added alongside, the big, duo of James Harden and Joel Embiid. Daryl Morey says we're comfortable where we're at and what we're doing. James Harden on playing with 3 teams in 3 years. He didn't want that to happen, but he's happy now. Daryl Morey says the Harden trade last year should have originally been a 3-team trade with the Sixers, but that did not happen. It was pretty clear that Harden wanted to be with the Sixers a couple years ago. Daryl Morey says he's been working on this deal for James Harden for a while, ever since Ben Simmons told the team he wanted out. Paul Millsap had the moment of the presser. I don't think the camera hit him at all throughout the first 20 minutes, but then someone finally asked Paul Millsap a question, and he responds, "It was getting weird up here," because the camera. No, I think Paul Millsap only got 2 questions. Everything else was either Doc, Daryl, or James Harden. James Harden on Tyrese Maxey. James Harden complimented Maxey's confidence, saying it was through the roof. On Tyrese Maxey, he's always in attack mode, and his 3-point shooting is wildly improved. I think his aggressive mentality to get to the basket and find open guys is unreal, and says he's coming in to help Tyrese Maxey develop and own his craft, man. That's definitely a little subplot of the Sixers moving forward. Big picture-wise, that is a huge storyline to watch. Daryl on the ceilings for Tyrese and Matisse Thybulle. He sees Maxey as an all-star and shouts out Tyrese Maxey's work ethic. Says Matisse has potential to be Defensive Player of the Year after the fact when Joel wins it for this year. Doc on the rebounding issues, he says both Paul Reed and Paul Millsap and Charles Bassey will help, but Doc did double down and say they are looking on that buyout market to add size and rebounding to this roster. On James Harden, playing with Kyrie and Kyrie's uncertainty with playing, Harden said it impacted his decision to leave Brooklyn very little, which I'm not sure how much I believe that. James Harden on Doc Rivers. James Harden had a lot of praise for Doc, calling him one of the best coaches of all time. I don't know if this was a slap to Ben or what, but James Harden said, I still need to be helped. I still need to be taught. Anyway, I'm going to leave that go there. James Harden on his fit with Tobias Harris. Again, James said it's his job to get him 20 points a night. to be the leader, push guys, and get that swagger out of guys every single night. Tobias Harris getting a lot of love in this presser, which was interesting. I did not expect that. Regarding James Harden's physical conditioning, he says the hamstring feels good. And one of my other favorite moments of this presser, when James Harden was asked on his fit with Joel Embiid and whether or not the Sixers can win an NBA championship, his response was, hell yeah. So that is our press conference. Guys, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe here. Quinn says, I didn't know Millsap was there. Right? It was hilarious. Like, he was like on the corner, and the camera had to like literally go like 3 people to the left, and you wouldn't even know he was there until that question went down. It was absolutely hilarious. Thank you everyone for watching. We'll be doing a post-game show for tonight's Sixers game right when the clock hits 0. Thank you everyone for the comments. Please be sure to smash that subscribe button and stay awesome, everybody.